Bugging in should always be your number one plan. You want to make your house a safe space for you to literally just hang out inside until whatever weird thing is going on is over. Now, of course, I'm sure you all know by now, you want to have food and water. I would recommend at least having a leak. So the power may be on, the power may not be on. We don't know. So we want to have alternative cooking sources. A camping stove is a great way to reheat and cook food. And also going back to the water, being able to boil water to make it safe to drink. To go along with our food, we want to make sure that we either have the water stored to wash our dishes, or we have disposable plates, cups, things like that. Let's just get the gross stuff over with. If you are staying in your house and let's say worst case scenario, the water is off, you want to make sure you have a way to go to the bathroom. Nobody likes talking about sanitation, but it is very, very important. So many diseases are spread that way. The next category is going to be power. So that can be a whole house generator, that can be a small generator, battery backups, a solar panel, just some way to charge devices or power devices, especially if you have medical devices or things like that, some way to keep those running with no electricity. The same thing is going to go for lighting and for heating and cooling. Depending where you live, it may get really cold, it may get really hot, so you want to have things for that, whether it's battery powered fans, wool blankets, hand warmers, cooling towels, ice packs, all that kind of stuff. If the power's out, it's going to get dark. We want to be able to see, so maybe some lanterns, some headlamps, flashlights. Now, next is going to be your medical supplies. Obviously, you want to have as much extras as possible of any medicines that you take every day, but we also want to have basics, band-aids, over-the-counter meds, cold and flu medicine, just your basic first aid. And then if you're willing to do the research, watch YouTube videos, maybe some trauma first aid, as long as you know how to use those properly. Next, we want to have a few tools. You don't have to have a whole toolbox or anything like that, but some things to make basic repairs, or if for example, your window gets broken, do you have a tarp and some nails to nail the tarp over the window to make sure water and wind and things like that aren't getting into the house? The next category is going to be entertainment. So just because you're stuck in the house, it doesn't mean that the world is ending. It's the total apocalypse outside. It might just be maybe you don't feel good and you can't go to the store for a month, or maybe we're in another COVID type pandemic. You want to have things to entertain yourself, whether it's DVDs, if the internet is out and you can't stream, books, coloring books, really anything that you would think is fun and you could entertain yourself with. And our last category is going to be security. Now, obviously, if you have all these supplies in your house, you want to make sure your house is secure. You want to make sure those supplies aren't just sitting in the middle of your living room where anyone passing by can see them. You also want to make sure you're locking your doors. If you have security cameras, maybe adding a couple extra locks. You just want to try and make your house as safe as possible, and you want to make sure that you have things to defend yourself and your house with.